Okay, that's enough computer time.
The goal here is simple. I need to load up my bike with my packraft and my camping gear, and head down to Blue Mountain, Birch Cove Lakes wilderness area. I've been there a few times, but never to this region. This year I've been on a bit of a trip focusing on what I guess you can only call local travel, which is to say going anywhere that I can get to without using a car. This is one of the first trips where I'm doing this as an overnight, where I'm making use of both my bike and my packraft as well. So I'm pretty excited. The information online about where to sleep in this park is not great, but I'm sure I can improvise. The trailhead for the Susie's Lake Trail is behind a Kent in an industrial park, which is a little bit odd. But once you get there, the trail itself is quite easy, and in autumn it looks beautiful. The foliage there, it's mind-blowing.
Well, as you can probably tell, I did make it to the lake. So this was my planned launch point. But as you can probably also tell, it's insanely windy. And yeah, packrafts are not the greatest in these type of conditions. So kind of at the midpoint where I made a great adventure to get here, little bike trip. But I'm not necessarily committed to staying out here. Like, yes, I have all my camping stuff. But if it's going to be absolutely miserable to find a campsite, which is a whole other thing because I've never been to this part of the park before, so I don't really know where the campsites are located. Okay, I'm going to get out of the wind a bit. All right, I can't remember exactly what I was saying, but basically I'm going to try to stick it out here, see if the wind dies down a bit. Try to do a little more research on if I can find specific campsites that I can shoot towards. And if all else fails, I just go back and go home. Not the end of the world. Not every trip is a success. Although if that happens, you won't be seeing this. Time has been passing pretty slowly. Being windbound, not my favorite thing of all time, but it did give me an excuse to slow down and actually take some photos, which I have not been doing a lot of lately. Been caught up in the grind of just watching YouTube videos about taking photos and not actually taking any myself. Classic conundrum. Yeah, I think the scene with this island right ahead is so beautiful. So, been taking a lot of pics of that. Wish the water wasn't so choppy, but you know, nothing's perfect. I really like having the gloomy clouds in the background with the beautiful autumn colors in the foreground here. So, beautiful scene to be part of. Still holding out that I can get on the water, but if nothing else, I at least got one good photo. It's still pretty windy, but the white caps have stopped, so it's looking at least something that I can paddle. Gonna give it a try. Yeah, got my warming kit and life jacket and everything, so safety's not really a concern. It's just the amount of inconvenience and displeasure of being cold and dealing with cold water. So give it a go, see where I end up. Okay, shit. right, we're actually out here. This isn't so bad. I mean, that's pretty bad, but it's not so bad. Just gotta... Seems like it's getting dark pretty fast. It's not even 6:30, but sun's going down quick. Time to kill the glasses. Here's test site number 1. Let's see what we got. Okay, so it doesn't really look like it on this camera, but it's starting to get a little dark. Sunset's just happening over there. And yeah, that's the reason why I gave up so early and went to the first place that I could find. Yeah, I ended up only paddling like, I don't know, 100, 200 meters. So a bit underwhelming considering how long it took to actually get out here. But this spot is awesome. It's way more open space than I've ever found in kind of wild camping areas before. Actually flat ground. Oh, this is gonna be way better than I was expecting, even though it was shockingly easy to get to. So, gonna set up camp now, air out my feet a bit, and just lounge around. So, let's see how this goes. All right, got the main camera out, got my sight set up. Right before the sun officially goes down, I can still see a bit of it up my face. So that means I made the right choice of posting up here early. But yeah, it's feeling pretty good. This is a bit sheltered from the wind compared to even just at the side of the lake where I was at before. So it's much more peaceful in here. It's still not going to be perfect by any means, but I'll at least be able to cook and do stuff like that. And actually, these trees right behind me look perfect for a hammock. All right, maybe it's a little too exposed to the wind still, but once you lay down, it's pretty damn good. I had a bunch of different things I wanted to do on this trip and not really accomplishing any of them. It's still, I mean, I can make this work. But yeah, I was hoping to do like at least part of the loop. There's like a chain of lakes that also includes portages. I thought that would be really fun to do with a packraft because it weighs like a pound. But yeah, that didn't happen just because I was a bit too nervous about going into the extremely windy conditions. I looked at the weather report. It said there were gusts of up to 70 kilometers an hour. So yeah, not ideal considering I'm still a bit of a novice when it comes to the packraft. So playing better safe than sorry. And then yeah, waiting until the wind died down. It didn't leave that much daylight left. So basically I felt pretty obligated to go to the first available site. And I mean, it turned out to be an awesome choice because this is better than most national park sites. So I'm very happy about that. But yeah, because it's still so windy, I can't fly my drone, which I love to do. Just to give a bit of context of what the park looks like as a whole. So yeah, I think it's maybe about 7 o'clock. So my plan is to do a combination of reading, cooking. This is my very last dehydrated meal that I have been keeping in my freezer since the beginning of the season. And then probably watching some hockey. For me, this is like a classic one-off camping trip, but yeah, a bit different than usual. I'm my own lighting expert here, and I'm not doing a great job. I did some camp chores, and it really kicked in that sometimes solo camping is very stressful and not so relaxing. So yeah, I just wanted some time to relax, so I busted out the quilt, laid out in the hammock, and I just want to chill for a bit. To me, it's one of the best parts about camping, but it's just there's so many chores when you're solo. Yeah, it's just a lot to deal with, so giving myself some guilt-free nothingness time. It was a pretty big mistake not to bring my earplugs, but I just took a peek outside, and it looks beautiful out there. So all of my sleep troubles are forgotten already. So I'm gonna start poking around, see what kind of photos I can take this morning. Last night I never really took a full tour of this area because it's quite a bit more expansive, the island that I'm on, than just the area where I was sleeping. And I was a bit too excited to set up camp. So, gonna go for a wander, see where this trail leads. When the water level is lower, or maybe when it's just more organized, you actually don't even need to paddle here at all. But it kind of revealed how little distance I actually traveled yesterday, so a bit humbling. But yeah, it's not passable right now, so I at least feel like it was useful to use a boat. I'll say now that it's morning again, the sun is out, there's no time constraints. All those complaints about solo camping have disappeared. Now I'm just lounging around, taking some photos, taking some video, making breakfast. Yeah, it's just very peaceful. But yeah, the stress of setting up for the night is pretty high, but the morning definitely justifies it. Instant coffee time. Not the best, but it sure is easy. Okay, cheers. One thing that I was not as happy to see when the morning light rolled around, which you can see behind me there. It's a giant bag completely filled with garbage. And yeah, I don't want to go on another tirade about Leave No Trace, but it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of disrespect that public lands gets from people. If any of your friends do that, just fight them. There's no other way to let them learn. So yeah, that's my PSA. Otherwise, I think it's maybe about 8:45 now, so full day ahead of me. But it does seem like the wind is picking back up a bit, so I'll probably try to pick things up in the next 45 minutes, I would say, and get on the water. I think I'll just do like a full circle of this lake. None of the portaging that I wanted to do, just to kind of move things along. It is Thanksgiving weekend, so, you know, I have other obligations to tend to today. Okay, so speaking of eating, in case you're wondering what else I had on the menu, got some hard-boiled eggs, a couple of those, got my English muffins with peanut butter, and I also, because I wasn't sure how long I was going to be out today in my original plan, I also had a big thing of oatmeal, so I might just save that for another day. I'm not feeling hungry enough to justify it right now, because these don't require any cooking, so bon appetit. The other thing I've been thinking about a lot more recently is, why do I make these videos? Because the reality is it's actually quite a lot of work, but so yeah, what's the point? Because then I'm thinking about like, who's watching them? Does it matter? To an extent, but I think for me, it's about the challenge of learning new skills that are not associated with making money. I mean, the main driver and why I first created this channel was to show off the local environment, because when I first moved here, there's basically very limited or nothing available, showing off kind of the types of trips that I like to do. And then also like the photography element. So yeah, I like doing all of that. I think I'll probably start leaning more into photography side. My problem though is like photography YouTube is extremely pretentious, and I don't necessarily want to put myself into that sphere. So its focus for sure is going to be on the outdoor experience more so than the artistic one. But, you know, I'm out here doing my thing, and I think it's worth it. Okay, so that's pretty much set up. So all that's left is to put this camera away, replace it with the GoPro, and start paddling. So let's get to it. Okay. Still sticking to the plan. I'm gonna do a perimeter of this lake, just see what it's all about. Explore some of the spots I saw on my drone. Looked like there's a nice swimming spot just over to the south there, I think. So, yeah, let's see. Well, so, anyways, here's the crossing. So, it's more or less possible, even with how high the water is right now. Probably get a little bit of wet feet, but you could do it. Okay. Made it through. Thank God. But I'll say I'm starting to despise this paddle. I mean, it did only cost $30, but not having the little splash guard is making my legs get pretty drenched. Which, not the end of the world because it's still kind of warm out, but not my favorite. Okay, I think I might have found another access point to something. Maybe another campsite. Let's find out. Actually, I'll spin around so you can see it. Right there. Yeehaw. One time I love that there's not a whole lot of straightforward guidance. Can spin around on a whim. Okay, let's dock. Definitely looks like there's an established campsite here. Here's enough space for a tent for sure, but it gets more extreme. This is interesting. Not sure I would want to sleep on that, but it's kind of interesting. My plan is, because this lake is a super weird shape, I'm gonna do a bit of a P shape loop to get back to my access point to the Susie Lake Trail, and then I'll be off to the races. But yeah, the wind is still present. I'm starting to go against it a bit, so it's a bit of a tougher paddle, but it's not bad at all. The air temperature is much nicer now, so in no rush to leave, we'll say that. Okay, I think I've got a winner just behind me here. A nice flat rock. So let's go investigate. This could be an epic, epic camping spot. Although everything just looks amazing right now. Sun's out, leaves are looking gorgeous. It's pretty perfect. Okay, verdict. It looks like a better hangout spot. It's, yeah, not quite as level as I was hoping and a bit too small for a tent, so. Another fake out. Okay, so I just finished the point that's deepest in the park that I'll explore today. These two areas here, pretty good campsites, a lot of flat ground. Only problem is it's hard rock, so I wouldn't be able to use a trekking pole tent, or the trees are too small for hammocks even. So yeah, I thought I'd be able to find more. My success rate not amazing, but hopefully I can find some on the way back as I complete this loop. So let's give her a go. That probably did not show up on the GoPro at all. There's maybe like 200 crows that just flew out of that bit of forest. Looks so cool. Okay, basically at the conclusion of this journey now, I found some pretty good sites over here. Marked them on Google Maps for future reference. And now it's time to officially head back to the trailhead. Or water access point, I guess I should say. Oh man, the weather turned out so beautiful though. It's hard to call it quits, but we're starting to get into the afternoon, so gotta be responsible here. Officially offloaded and on land. So I'm gonna wrap up the video here because now it's just a matter of doing the short hike. I think it was maybe a couple kilometers back to my bike and then biking home. So overall a great success. I did way more paddling on day 2 than I was expecting. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be mostly a day 1 event, but I ended up only going about 200 meters. So yeah, interesting day. Found some great campsites for another time. And yeah, really happy with that. Weather turned out perfect for all the paddling I did today. So we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Take care.